Hi everyone, this is Apostrophe. I feel like playing Turok, so let's play it running on Series X. We did look at it running on the Switch originally, so I'm curious to see if this is any different. I don't imagine it will be. I think this is all pretty much the same. Leave all this stuff on, and this was on the older version of the Kex engine. Shadow Man has the newest one, and I thought that was, an excellent version of Shadow Man. Generic weapon bobbing, head bobbing options. I was never all that fond of the head bobbing on this. So I'm glad there's finally an option to turn it off. Only took 25 years. Yeah, I'll leave it on easy. This is a long game to go through. It's a surprisingly large game considering it's on a Nintendo 64 cartridge, and it was a launch game. Well, not a launch game. Launch window game, I guess is what they call it now. But it was the first game from Acclaim and Iguana Studios on the N64. It kind of came through with a big splash. I mean, I don't think anybody expected this game to be that good. I'd seen it on the prior year's E3 before it released, and it was kind of in a rough state back then. And then when the final product came out, it was like, wow, this is something really special. Locate the hub ruins. Use the keys to open level portals. You can get this game in a 2-pack with Turok 1 and 2 bundled together, or you can buy them separately. They're not on sale anymore, unfortunately, but they were on sale during the winter sale. And I think it's a really marvelous game. In fact, it really changes my opinion on what could be done on consoles and the control scheme on consoles. Because this featured, kind of digital movement controls. I mean, we consider them softball controls nowadays, but back in those days, you'd move your right stick around, which would control your view on the left stick. And then your movement would be, sort of mouse and keyboard style with strafe on the left and right C buttons, and then forward for movement, or forward movement, down for backward movement. It was really pretty intuitive. I said, to me, it felt like a PC style interface, except on a controller, and all the benefits of having it on the controller. And I think the platforming actually feels right on this game. You have the appropriate amount of weight. If you turn on the little mini-map, you can gauge your jumps pretty well. Although I think you gauge your jumps pretty well even without the map. You get a really good feel for it. Shoot the little gazelle for extra health. Although it's more effective to use a shotgun. Alright, this game is much better without the head bob. Yeah, the head bob was super annoying. I mean, Doom's influence obviously was pretty heavy in this time period. So the head bob was just a normal thing you'd implement. But I always find it too terribly distracting. I thought there was a place I could climb up. Maybe I'm thinking of later in the game. I feel in a lot of ways this Turok is superior to the sequel, although the sequel expanded the game quite a bit. You know, the level designs were more complex. The AI was more complex, and overall texture work was better. Polygon work was higher. But this game's, you know, kind of wonky physics. I really love it. Yeah, and they could kind of explain away the, you know, the warping enemies that just zip inside. Since it is a sci-fi based game, and you know the original comic was sci-fi as well. Yep, no sort of indicators on where you're getting hit. This was back in the days before that was a thing. So you just gotta look around if you're getting hit by something. You know, hope that you can find it. Who shooting me? It must be far away there. Yeah, the movement's just a little tighter as well. It was just a little floaty on the N64. You know, you'd have just a bit of you know, a bit of additional inertia in your movement with the control stick. But now it's like, you know, it's dead stop, which is probably the way most people prefer it now. I'm sure we could change some settings to change that as well. Yeah, little blood shells everywhere. If you hit them near a wall, there's like blood splatter on the wall as well. Innovative stuff. So playing these games, you know, in the order that they were released, instead of like being introduced to first-person shooters with, say, you know, Halo, right? If you came into first-person shooters with Halo being your first one, then that's obviously going to you know, change your judgment about what's good and bad about a shooter or an FPS. But for me, you know, kind of being born in that that Gen X generation, you know, experiencing Duke Nukem and Doom and Wolfenstein when they were released at the time, getting to experience all that as part of PC gaming, you know, that made me less fond of like the console exclusive FPS games. So people wonder why I'm not all that fond of Halo. I mean, this is really the reason. You know, my exposure to FPS is probably more than most since I was playing on PC as well. You know, really changed what I thought was, or, you know, affected what I thought was a good FPS and a bad FPS. While I certainly don't think the Halo series are bad FPSs, they don't really feel that innovative to me. You know, because I was playing all this other stuff. And some people have different experiences with that. Some people were also Gen Xers like me, and you know, they went into Halo going, "Oh my God, you know, this is more than, you know, this is a different experience than I've ever played. You know, these big levels, I've never experienced them." You know, even though there were big level experiences with FPS games, you know, well before Halo. think what really makes this series stand out so much is just the. In a lot of ways, this feels like Doom in that you know, your bullets are powerful, your weapons are powerful. You know, you're not constantly just ticking away at enemies. You know, once you find a new piece of firepower, you know they really devastate the enemies, and you can use them in clever ways. Where I always felt like weapons in Halo and subsequent games, it just feels like you just have like a pepper shaker. You're just gently salting your enemies. Whereas this game, you know, you're smacking them around with a 2x4. In a lot of ways, this game is almost too big, because you can wander around and get lost in quite a bit of the game. And I never feel that there's too much dead space in between the game. You know, like this and Half-Life, I think they got the balance of, you know, the quiet moments and the busy moments just right. Because both definitely happen. And just the overall speed of the game, you know, felt really good. Obviously, the game didn't run at 60 frames on the N64. I mean, I think at most it topped 18 frames, with a fair amount of lag in between. But again, you know, launch title or first title from the studio, working on a brand new system, which is notoriously, you know, poorly documented for developers. You know, most of all tools and documentation written in Japanese only. You know, working on a brand new architecture which was not like architecture from any previous system. God. We're running at such a nice frame rate, it's really throwing me off. It's interesting to see the game with you know, nowhere near as much fog as the original as well. Although you can turn on the alpha effects and bring the fog up if you really want to. Although again, I don't know why you'd want to do that. But you can if you want to. Yeah, oddly enough, there's no Turok 3, which is disappointing because I felt Turok 3 was actually a step up from Turok 2. You have the characters with different abilities, kind of giving it a Metroid-ish sort of game flow. But maybe there's some additional difficulties in Turok 3 that I'm not aware of. You know, bringing it over. And again, just this mix of, you know, some minor platforming and these powerful weapons, along with these big levels. Again, very, very impressive for its time. Especially if you consider the cartridge limitations and the N64 itself. How they got anything to run on this thing is beyond me. Nobody wants to shoot the monkey. You can't shoot the monkey in this game. As much as you want to. That's right. Shorthand for this game. So I was just calling it Turok, or Turok. With the sequel being Turok Help! The two most common things you'll hear in, in both games. Yeah, this is largely the same as the Switch version. Just it's the benefit of having the native scaler bring it up to a higher resolution. And depending on whether or not you prefer the Xbox controller versus the Switch, Pro controller or Joy-Cons, kind of largely influence of what you think about this game or playing it on this system. And I gotta admit, the Xbox controller, the One controller, and and consequently the Series X controller, certainly not my favorite. My least favorite amongst the 3 game makers right now. But I'm sure there are people that feel the opposite. Maybe this is their favorite controller. You and your mutant ass thumbs. Not judging, weirdo. Yeah, generous auto aim, obviously, considering it was the control scheme was new for the system, and you can only be so precise with that control stick. So yes, don't worry, Halo wasn't the only game to give you like ridiculous auto aim. FPS console FPSs kind of had to do it that way. At least to make it playable enough for most people. Yeah, it was just a shame that the Instance 4 had such very limited music capabilities. So all this MIDI, this very limited MIDI sound, while a little catchy, is obviously super repetitive. And I see the shotgun gives you way more little health icons. And again, this well-animated enemies, again, not common in this era. Most of the time that these were 2D bitmaps, slapped against some well, not true 3D backgrounds, but you know what I mean. And they could only be as well animated as a bitmap could be. Yeah, so to me, I consider this the most revolutionary, real-time 3D first-person shooter. you know, and Turok's a game that makes you feel powerful. You know, again, you don't have weapons that just shoot paper wads at the enemies. You know, every enemy isn't necessarily a bullet sponge, which is how modern gaming is. You know, everything's takes an incredible number of bullets to kill. To kill. Even though, quite frankly, it doesn't take many bullets to really hurt you. But you don't want to mix too much reality in your games, then it stops becoming fun, right? Yeah, the circle strafe really comes into play in this game. If you're not circle strafing in this game, then you're not winning. Especially as you get into the more complex bosses, who do have a fair amount of bullet spam to contend with. Now look at this. This is bullet time before bullet time was a thing. Who knew? 1997. Of course, that power-up only works for a limited amount of time, but it's pretty cool, nonetheless. I know modern games look at this and they think, how could this possibly be fun? It's so blocky. It's so flat. But games were much worse than this. So. First-person shooters were especially much worse than this game. And again, especially on console, really wasn't a lot of standout games running anywhere near this well on console. I think that only really started to change with the Dreamcast. And even then, to really play those Dreamcast first-person shooters, they benefited from using the mouse. Degenerate right on top of me. That wasn't very nice. Let's hit that warp. I don't remember where it brings me. Ah, yes, the chronoceptor. The heavy barrel. Kind of a cool weapon to work towards. I keep thinking there's something else here. Hold on a minute. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, come on. Yeah, it's so easy to miss these keys, and then you end up having to go back throughout the level to find them if you're not real careful with your exploration. And the game will let you miss them. Again, the days before, you know, games were more guided. Yeah, thankfully the level structure is much simpler in this game, so it's a little easier to remember where stuff is. But not that much easier, because again, it's a pretty big game. All the maps are huge, and they're all interconnected. Again, it's a thing that brought this game, you know, such innovation. The games previous to this were, you know, you'd finish a level, then you'd load a separate area in, and all this stuff is pretty much all together. You know, there are warps to get you from here and there, but they all feel like they're part of one big level. You know, versus something being sectioned off here and there. Again, this is why I feel that Turok is a bit of an unsung hero amongst first-person shooter games. It did a lot of things that nobody had really ever done before, and brought them all together. You know, much like how people feel about Halo, or the Halo series in general. You know, I feel that way about Turok. Okay, we already did this level. You know, thankfully I can, you know, not necessarily, you know, under the veil of nostalgia, you know, I can point to a lot of different instances where, you know, this was doing things, you know, well beyond, you know, the Halos and the Half-Lives. Although, to be completely fair, Half-Life is like kind of the master of the first-person adventure genre. You know, providing, you know, like a ton of innovation. You know, wrapping together in a fun way. You know, with excellent AI for the time. You gotta watch out. Turok has a breath limit. Okay, we already did this one too. Yeah, it's also why you don't see me all that excited about Halo Infinite. Number one, because I feel like the game is not done. And, you know, thankfully we didn't have to pay any extra money for it unless you wanted to. if you're on Game Pass. But boy, I'd feel just more than slightly shafted if I did actually have to pay the $70 or the standard game price. I don't know if that one goes for 70. It might go for 60. You know, the single player game does not feel very finished, and you know, all that bluster about it being, you know, it's like a semi-open world game. At least in the single player campaign, you only get that open world for half the game. After that, the rest of the game just turns into guiding you exactly where you need to go, which is something I don't feel like a lot of people talk about. Now it's you know, it's not really fully open, you know, like an Assassin's Creed game would be, or a Far Cry game would be. It certainly doesn't stay the course for that long inside the campaign. It's curious that nobody seems to mention that in the reviews. It's like, yeah, you have a big open map, but halfway through the game they just shuttle you from one place to another. So that whole big open map thing doesn't actually sustain itself through the game. Am I missing a key? I think I am. Let's see, level 6. Where's level 1? Where's level 3? 5. 6. 4. 2. I think this is clever enough. You know, if you find all the keys, then you can get access to different parts of the level. We'll do them in order. You know, even in the development team, it was always an ongoing joke to shoot the monkeys. But no, you can never shoot the monkeys. Sorry, all you monkey haters. Yeah, and I think I just like my first-person shooter protagonist to be a little bit more nimble. I think that's why I have such a hard time kind of wrapping my head around Halo. It's just he's just like a big chunk of lead, you know. I felt that way about Killzone 2. Until they got to Killzone 3, but like Killzone 1 and 2, man, those characters, they just did not feel fun to play because they were so heavy. I know, that's blasphemy. I have to like what everybody else likes. But they don't, unfortunately. That's why my channel is not really filled with, like, the most popular games. Which obviously hurts my viewership since I'm not covering things like Minecraft and Fortnite, but I really can't stand those games, so sorry. If you ever want to see that, it just won't ever happen here. We can go several places here. I guess we can go here first. Oh, this is a new one? This is a new one. All right, just a second. Okay. Oh my goodness. It's weird playing it without the C buttons. I do like these are, you know, I mean, these things are entirely optional. I mean, they're just bonuses. I don't think you necessarily get anything out of it, besides possibly collecting more icons to get more lives. Yeah, so I'm already full, so it's just a matter of just doing it just because.
ENG-Turok.
That's what I love about this this rather rudimentary engine is that if you have explosives, you can actually make the characters bounce around a little bit. Well, ragdolls before there were ragdolls. Which are sadly they took away from the sequel. Though I'm sure the effect of the the bouncing bodies was unintentional. It was just a result of the engine. Was that all? I thought there was something else, no? Key up there. Do I not get that key yet? I haven't. Whoop, alright. Not a dinosaur. Yes, the saves. So few and far between. You would have had to play many, many minutes to find another save in this original game. And I don't remember if this one featured save anywhere. It might not. know, he can hurt you when he's rolling around. No, right in the face. I think that's all it was. More ammo. Oh, there it is, up there. Can I get it in time? I don't know, maybe. Oh, I already have super health. I think I'm still missing a key. If I can get here. I'm just dropping them to die. Yes. Bullet tag. So, I think I went over there. Let's see, is this back to where I was? It is, okay. Just had to double check. Where that trail destruction I've left behind. Of course, on the 1064, those bodies would be removed. Here, beetle. There you are. Still bothers me I'm missing a key. Maybe I took a left at Albuquerque when I shouldn't have. It's all the way up. Into this one. I thought I could get up there, no? I don't see a place to climb. Even though there's stuff up there. Yeah, it's amazing how much verticality there is to the game, too. I mean, there's a lot going on in the Z-axis. And again, you know, most games during this era, you know, they were using, you know, they weren't all real-time 3D. And they were mostly flat affairs. Okay, nothing there. I need to give you enough environmental clues too, like that tall tree going up to the top. At least let you know that there was a platform down here. So even though there are hidden areas, you know, you still have ways to find out without just making blind jumps everywhere. Here's that key that we saw way back at the beginning of the level. Or maybe not. That's not that key. Oh, damn it. I think I missed one. Oh boy. I have no idea how to get to it either. Oh, maybe this is the key. Yeah, this one. This one might be it. Let's save. Because we saw it fairly early in the level when we were playing. And I couldn't find a way to get to it, even though I saw it from the bottom of the screen. Yes. Normally, you know, obviously those would be hidden by fog. You wouldn't just see the rocks just levitating in the middle there. But again, I chose to play this with the, you know, the fog being lifted more. I don't think it hurts it too much to see that stuff. Ow! What, you tricky people. Yeah. They be shooting. Auto shotgun. Now it's like I'm playing Leon Kennedy. From Resident Evil 4. Not from that shitty movie they just released. Was it Welcome to Raccoon City? Welcome to Raccoon Shitty. Honestly, I forgot this weapon was in here. Still a badass gun. So easy to use. Means you just pretty much just go through all of your ammo quickly. Somebody. Machine gun. I must have missed the plate I had to step on to get the chain gun. Where is it? I mean, of course, I will get the chain gun eventually. It's just nice to get it earlier. I don't see the plate anywhere. That would turn it on, or that would lower the stalagmites. Here somewhere? Where to go? Yeah, so you could easily miss that key if you just rushed into the portal. One key to find, yeah. It was at the beginning of the level. At least I thought it was. No, maybe I was mistaken. I think this is where I thought it was. Great. I have no idea where that key is now. I mean, they hide this stuff pretty well. You have to be the kind of person that loves to explore like every nook and cranny to get the keys on the first try. And I'm generally not that kind of person. I just really want to play a game and be done with it. You know, just because there's so many damn games to play. Just a triangle. Watch out, I'm running out of breath. I think there's anything here. This way. Well, I definitely missed this the first time. Aha, there it is. Yeah, I thought I saw it fairly early in the level. Now, how to get back without going through the whole game. I guess it's not too far off. Point of the game, you know, this remastered game. I mean, it just feels like it's just floating through it, you know, because it's moving so fast. Again, you know, I mean, I was playing this game at 18 frames a second on the Nintendo 64. Can you make it? Yeah, yeah. And with, significantly more fog. Okay, good. All keys. Did we get all the keys from the initial level? That I'm not too sure of. It's level 3. Got 1 key for level 5. Yeah, see, they dot the keys to every level, kind of interspread between the previous levels. Again, I think it's pretty clever, although they do make you find every single key, which is kind of too bad. But, you know, they're doing the most they could with what they had, so, you know, they're finding some ways to extend the game with the limited amount of memory that Nintendo 64 cartridges had. Alright. Yeah, I know the music's super basic, but it is kind of catchy. I mean, I don't think it's anything that, like, you know, really stick in your head and make you want to buy the original soundtrack, but it does match appropriately. And if you turn on the weapon bobbing and the head bobbing, it sort of bobs through the background music, which is hilarious to think about. You know, the way the sound and graphics come together. Good stuff. Ah, damn it. Yeah, there's something just so like pure and satisfying. Again, yeah, I think modern audiences might disagree. They might think that there's not enough to this. But I honestly think people should give it a shot. You know, even though it does look, you know, dated and ancient, which it is, obviously. No denying that. So this was a pretty ugly period for games. You know, the PS1 era, and really the PS2 era as well. You know, they're hard to look at these games. They did the best they could. And really, if it wasn't for the PlayStation 1's, you know, lack of floating point ability, you know, that caused it to stretch all the textures. you know, much less sophisticated. So that was real to us, you know, just flat shaded polygons running at 20 frames a second. You know, even as a PC gamer, like I said, PC gamers tend to forget that you know, we didn't really have the best looking games. And while console games were you know, behind, PC games were not necessarily that far ahead. Back then too, you know, V-syncing graphics were also, you know, really within the realm of the console. It was perfectly acceptable to have a non-V-synced imaging in a PC game. You know, people didn't think about it. It was something that always bothered me, which is why I preferred console gaming, because there was an impetus to prevent that you know, that artifact from showing up. You know, video was more closely linked to the refresh rate of the TV back then. But on PCs, not so much. It's a shame we you know, we didn't really have the capabilities to capture game software back then. You know, if you were lucky, you could you know, maybe you owned some incredibly expensive video equipment, and you might be able to you know, to film yourself, but it would still be, you know, filming the screen of something, you know, not direct capture, you know, the graphic pipeline itself. Nowadays, I mean, you can get like external USB video cards to capture. You know, we've come so far, I think, without really even realizing it. Yeah, I want to say this game helps you a little bit, much like Metroid Prime does, in that before you completely fall off the edge, there's a very slight dip that shows up in the game world. Like, the screen will just dip just a little bit to let you know that's when you need to jump, that you're on the edge of something. I thought it was really clever for the, you know, back in the day. And I wouldn't see that again until Metroid Prime on the GameCube, where they utilized that very subtle trick. Of course, I don't think that trick works in this version necessarily, because we're running at such a high frame rate. I don't necessarily. I think the time that screen dips would be hard to perceive. Oh, so close. Why? the other side of the temple this way. Is there anything in there? Seems weird to have a bonus with just a box of. Is there anything on the other side? There may not be. I'm not sure if I can even get to it this way. shoot. Yeah, I don't remember where the pressure plate is for that. I mean, it's been years, obviously.
Turok.
All full up, huh? Oh boy. Okay, why don't we stop it there? This is Apostrophe. You've been watching Turok #1, running on the Series X. Yeah, I love this game. Obviously, I've been playing it for a couple hours now, which I don't normally do. Yeah, I think it's incredibly influential to game designers in this game. Maybe not the players, because I don't know how big the player base was for it, but certainly you see a lot of things done here first, really, on a console shooter. That really wasn't being done a lot of, if any, on any other platform, including PC. This version is fast and fluid. It certainly plays much better than the original Turok on the original system. So if you want to play this game, then this is the ideal place. Same thing with the Switch version. I don't think there's a lot of differences between the two, outside of this one having, being able to scale to a higher resolution, but it doesn't affect the visuals that much. Just a little crisper, but really it's just because it's scaling at a higher resolution. So yeah, definitely check it out. I think I'll play one more session of this, and hopefully